Alright, so in today's video, I'm actually going to be giving 3 tips on how to improve as an individual player, a teammate, and also just an overall competitor. I'm going to go ahead and make a separate video, probably going into more detail on all 3 of those kind of categories. But this is just 3 tips. You know, it's been a while since I put out a video, a couple days now. So I just figured I'd come up with a short, what should be a short video. It kind of depends on how long I rant for, I guess. But yeah, just a few easy, quick tips that will maybe help some people. Okay, so the getting better as an individual player. Obviously, the easy answer here is going to be to tell you that you need to play as much as possible, and you know, no matter what the game is, it's all about putting in time. That's something a lot of people forget, or they forget once they start doing better. You know, putting in time is a huge factor, but that's not going to be the advice I give you. You already know that. You already know how many hours pros put in, and to catch up to a professional player, you need to either match that and learn faster, or you need to play more, simply put. The advice that I'm going to give is actually to find a playstyle that you really enjoy. I shouldn't even say enjoy playing, but that you feel matches you. So, you know, whether that be you know, I'll go through a couple games, like, you know, in Halo, if maybe you think you have great movement, you want to watch Shotzzy and Frosty, and you can make your playstyle kind of based off them. If you think you're more of a slower player and maybe the anchor for a team where you just kind of lock down a position and you're more of a turret, you're probably going to watch World 2. If you think you're a flanker, where you're putting a lot of damage down, but you're constantly moving on the map, that'd be someone like Stellar or Snipe Down. If you think you're just someone who kind of just does everything, probably Lethal. He's the best person to watch. You know, Call of Duty, you think, you know, SMG players, you go ahead and watch Scump. It's, you know, it's the obvious, it's the obvious picks. Overall, you're gonna watch Crim. You know, there's so many amazing players you can kind of pick from. You know, who else are Call of Duty? Like, you know, TK is doing amazing right now. Kenny, I know, is like kind of has this playstyle that nobody else really does, or you know, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but it seems that way to me, where he's just kind of running guns. So if that's you, that's what you're gonna go watch. If you're a standstill AR, you're gonna watch that. If you're a roaming AR, you're gonna go watch that. The best thing you can do is pick a playstyle and then study that playstyle from people who are genuinely better than you. This is something that not nearly enough people take advantage of. You know, when I was going pro back in my day, there was no Twitch, there was no I don't want to say there was no YouTube, but there was no one was constantly putting out videos. You couldn't go and just download the VOD yourself. You know, this is something that you kind of relate it to school in a way. Everyone wants to play a certain way, but nobody actually studies the proper way to do it, if that makes sense. You're just going through the motions of what you think is supposed to happen, instead of learning from people who are more than likely probably better than you currently, right? So that's going to be my advice to improve as an individual. Just go ahead, find a playstyle that fits for you, that works for you, and then really just try to play similar to it, to study it. You know, the sooner you get it down, the better you're gonna do. It's also somewhat team related, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, you know, not everyone can play like Royal 2 on a different team, right? But still, you can learn from it and implement it to your game. And this doesn't mean don't learn from everybody. If you know, another pro streaming, or maybe you want to catch a rebroadcast, obviously you go watch that professional player play, study what he's doing, but don't necessarily take what he does to heart, because if it's not your style, it's not going to work for you. Alright, the next thing that we're going to talk about is how to be a better teammate. I've seen a couple videos like this. I know Formal, I think, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I think Formal did one. I know, I think Maniac did one also. Theirs went into a little bit more depth, so for this I'm just going to say, make sure you are putting in the work outside of what your team needs from you. Hopefully that makes sense to people. You know, a lot of times I feel like people get stuck in the habit of, you know, you just kind of get on for scrims, and you just kind of, like, you think that when you scrim is the time that you put in work, or when, you know, and in reality it's so much more than that. You know, when you scrim, it's a 2-hour time period of when you're improving with your team, but that doesn't mean that you can't work on your own gameplay to help yourself be a better teammate all throughout the day. You know, there's 2 hours where you scrim, and then 22 hours of nothing else going on. Well, I shouldn't say nothing else but going on, but you get what I'm saying, of where if you can get on and play, or you can study film, stuff like that. It kind of even relates to being the individual tip I gave, but in reality it's something that I don't think enough people are kind of taking into account for. You know, how often are you going into film and looking, or going to theater, whatever they call it in whatever game, and looking at things that other teams do, or maybe just looking at what you do or what your own team does. You know, I think people kind of get stuck in the mindset of they put in the work when they're told they're supposed to put in the work, and then they just stop. And I think that that causes people to become bad teammates, where I don't want to say they don't care, but they don't care as much as they should. Or at least that's the vibe that I kind of get. You know, to be a good teammate, it's pretty simple. You just literally try as hard as possible, put in the effort, and usually good results come. Obviously attitude and all that stuff's a big factor. That's going to be for a separate video, but for this I just want to keep it kind of related to the individual standpoint, or the individual tip, where I think a big factor is just trying to improve even when, you know, even when you're not scrimming, even when your teammates aren't on. You know, you can be a better teammate by trying to improve yourself, and even if you're trying to figure out stuff that maybe your team can do better while they're not necessarily online. Alright, so for the last tip of the video, this is going to be a weird kind of suggestion, but I think people will understand where I'm coming from. It's pretty simple. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. You know, esports now is that I could just rant on this kind of stuff for days, so I'm going to try to keep it somewhat short. Esports right now is in a period of time where prize money is very large, salaries are larger and larger every year, and I think that young players are kind of seeing that, and they use that as a part of their motivation to want to become a professional player. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. Like, I understand people needing the reassurance of, you know, the money being there and you can make a career out of it, and I get that. I'm not saying that that's not a valid point, but I think too many people now, and I think it's gonna be a much bigger problem in the future, where people are just gonna see the money that's made and they're gonna want to be a part of it just because of the money. If you want to be a better competitor, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, because when it comes down to the event, it's just a competition. You know, if you're thinking about the money, if anything like that, you're probably doing something wrong. Or I don't know, maybe for myself and my teammates, maybe we're just different like that. I don't know. I feel like a lot of competitors have said it, where, you know, when you're playing, you know, I've won, you know, been very fortunate where my team has won 2 world championships, both with the prize pool being over $1 million, and it didn't cross my mind one time. And I don't say that as a cliche or anything. It's just, it was a very simply put, it's me versus the other team, or our team versus their team. And when we got into the finals, you know, we had already made, or for the first worlds, we had already made like over $100,000 each first for getting second, I think. And it was never a thought in my head, it's like, well, oh man, you just win this one series and you get this amount of money. It was like, no, I wanted to beat, we were playing Allegiance, and I wanted to beat them so badly. And it wasn't for money, it was just to get first. And it was because they were a team that, you know, you play these teams online, and storylines develop of, like, they were DQing us in these online tournaments, and, like, you know, we hadn't had the chance to play them. You know, moving to the second worlds, you know, we play Envy in the finals, and it was just the most full circle kind of deal I think I could have asked for, where they formed their team, they beat us, their second event in. Then you know, we're going for a three-peat, and they didn't make it to the finals of the 2 tournaments we played. And then all of a sudden now, you know, we're playing them in the finals for the last tournament of kind of that portion of the season. So, you know, like I said, I'm not saying that money can't be a part of it. I get it. I understand nowadays it's always going to be a part of it. But at the end of the day, it's a competition, and if you want to be the best competitor possible, you need to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. You know, if you don't love competing, if you don't love the game for the right reasons, other than that, you're not going to want to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning and practice. You're not going to want to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning and go over stuff with your team. Or maybe if you have a bad scrim, are you really going to stay up an extra 3 hours to to play solo because you're mad that you played bad. You know, if it's just about the money, especially once you kind of get there, you might get there, but once you actually start seeing it, I feel like those people fold, you know? They don't have a long, I don't want to say they don't have a long career, but it's very clear to see the people that just genuinely want to win and want to compete and want to be the best compared to the people who maybe just have that kind of stuff on their mind. I don't know. I think, like I said, I can rant on that for days. I'll probably make a separate video talking about all this kind of stuff, but yeah, just wanted to make 3 short tips. Hopefully they help people. If you're interested in seeing more of these kind of videos, like, you know, tips, tricks, stuff like that, maybe go ahead and post it in the comments, I guess. Hopefully people can kind of relate to what I'm saying and don't take it as an insult, because that's certainly not my intention. You know, I'm not trying to insult anyone with any of these videos or anything like that. I feel, like I said, I feel like now we have a lot of tools to succeed, and people aren't using them the right way. Like the individual thing, like how easy is it to go and download, you know, a VOD from a certain person's perspective and just watch it and learn from it. And very rarely do people do that. And I know when I competed, I didn't have that. Or when I started competing, we didn't really have that. I think the only way you could do that was through like the MLG website, you know? But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you all for the support as always on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, everything. Everyone's been super supportive, super nice. You know I appreciate it so much. 6K subs on YouTube. Thank you. I don't know how my inconsistent uploads have done even somewhat decently, but I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Peace out, people.